I attended 3 student presentations and noted what I could while in attendance. Some of the information may be missing or incomplete as I was unable to hear the speakers well or see their presentation slides. There were a lot of people in attendance, so I had to stand at the very back of the presentation room. So, the first student oral presentation I attended was by Addison Early, an undergraduate. Her presentation is titled Provisioned Resources in Urban Landscapes, an Indirect Driver of High Window Collision Mortality in Ruby-Throated Hummingbirds. Addison questions, is provision resources, or Turk's cap, located near buildings possibly driving increases in window collisions and rendering the ruby-throated hummingbird to be more vulnerable than other species? She answers this by using light station data from TAMU campus, as well as recording the distances of provision resources, or Turk's cap, from buildings, and analyzed the information using negative binomial regression models. She discovered that buildings without provision resources had an 82% reduction in hummingbird collisions, whereas the buildings that had provision resources had a significant increase in collisions. When I was watching this presentation, I couldn't help but appreciate how straightforward Addison presented her data and made it easy to understand as well as keep your attention on. I was very invested in what she had to say, as I have put out hummingbird feeders for many years and love watching them, so when she said that this can cause a problem based on the placement of the resources, I felt I had a sense of responsibility. Addison also mentioned at the end of her presentation that we have an obligation and responsibility to correct the damage we have caused, stating that ignorance is understandable until it is willful, and this really resonated with me. The next presentation I viewed was Degrees of Change Influencing the Perceived Knowledge, Attitudes, and Behavioral Intentions of Natural Resource College Students and Young Professionals through an Applied Learning Curriculum by undergraduate Caitlin Castro. Caitlin questions, how does an applied and experiential education intervention influence one's behavioral intentions towards natural resource management practices in a professional setting, as well as their personal pro-environmental behaviors and their personal lives? To answer this question, she looked at the Texas A&M's Department of Rangeland Wildlife and Fisheries senior seminar course and distributed a survey that asked professors to identify strong, emotionally charged management practices for wildlife fisheries and human dimensions of natural resources, highly contributed or key environmental, pro-environmental behaviors and attitudes, and what teaching methodologies they believe contributed to their response. The results showed that most respondents said the program contributed to a change in their engagement of professional activities and personal behaviors. A small percentage of responses indicated that there was no change for them. After listening to this presentation, I thought about how it's understandable that people who care about a subject enough to study it are more likely to grow and appreciate it, even in new ways, if shown the opportunity to. The final student presentation I attended was Opposition to Killing and Conservation is Driven by Perceptions of Harm and Human Culpability by graduate student Daniel Nairi. Daniel had research questions that ask, is there a relationship between professional education and active resource killing in the name of conservation? Are they correlated or related to conservation or not? And what about some other considerations? To answer these questions, he released surveys asking respondents general questions about their major, their general environmental beliefs, and whether or not they think killing for conservation is good or if they should find less harmful methods. Some scenarios were provided, as well as he ran linear regressions on their responses. Daniel initially thought that environmental science majors would be more agreeing toward killing for conservation, but that was not the case. They still answered like most respondents opposed the killing. He also found that males are more likely to have positive views on killing conservation. I was not very surprised to hear that he got the results he did, especially about males being more supportive on conservation killing, considering for a long time men had to protect their land, livestock, and other things from invasive or overabundant species, especially if they lived out in the country. It was also interesting to hear that he got different levels of acceptability towards the conservation killing, depending on the different scenarios provided in the surveys.